So I purchased two nuked bee colonies, honeybee colonies. They were, I guess, a little bit over $200 each. And I have a little bit experience. I tried this once before and I failed. So the last time I tried this, I think I had a collapsed colony for some reason. Maybe the town sprayed mosquito spray to control mosquitoes. So that was my last attempt at this, but now I'm in a much more remote area. I don't think they spray around here. And I'm trying one more time to raise another couple of colonies of honeybees. So these are my two hives, and what I'm trying to do is transfer the nuked colonies that I purchased from the temporary hives into the permanent hives. The temporary ones are made out of cardboard, and the permanent ones are made out of wood. So if you ever plan to get started with bees, the expense of just the nuked colonies is only part of it. You have to buy a little bit more than that. You have to buy some good hives and some tools, minimal amount of tools, maybe a feeder, mite repellent, maybe some pollen, especially if you need to get a new colony started, and maybe a book to learn how to do this. So when you're setting up your colonies, some of the tips I could recommend is keep it up off of the ground and put some sort of a barrier between the ground and the hive so that pests can't get into the hive. Right now I'm putting a sheet of flashing underneath the tray where the bees come into the hive so that hopefully pests can't climb from the ground to the hive, because they have to have to make a pretty sharp turn at the edge of that flashing to go from the bottom of the flashing to the top of the flashing. They have to transition that edge right there, and it's pretty narrow flashing. That's maybe a millimeter. So see, I'm putting it underneath the underneath the tray. I'm trying to wiggle it in under there, and it's not easy because I have the hive on top of the tray. I want them to get used to the location. Sorry about that shot. I want them to get used to the location where they'll be entering their new home. So I've had that box there for about maybe a couple hours now. And they've been going in and out of the box to find the nearest source of pollen and returning to the box because that's where the queen is. So you could see that I'm positioning the flashing where it needs to be, on top of the stand, between the tray and the stand. And now I'm undoing the box because I'm going to take the bees out of that temporary box and put them into their permanent wooden box. There's a few combs in there that came with the nuked colonies. I think they have about 4 or 5 combs in there with honey and larvae. So now I'm just trying to get this box undone and the bees situated into a place where I could move the trays from that box into the permanent box. So I'm pretty well covered. I have gloves on, I have a long sleeve shirt, I have a headgear, I have long pants. So I'm pretty well covered. I haven't gotten stung yet. I hope I don't, because the honeybees die after they sting you. Oh, there's a honeybee on the camera there. And he's doing a little dance for us. So I'm going to move this box, I guess, over to a more convenient location so that I can move the permanent box on top of the tray where the bees will exit and enter the new hive, the permanent hive. So I'm just trying to figure out where to grab it and where to put it after I grab it. I have to plan a little bit ahead because you're dealing with about 5,000 bees in that box right there, and you don't want to get them too agitated. So you want to do this quickly, carefully. So I'm going to move that box down to the ground. There's the entry hole there. And then I'm going to move the new box, or the permanent box, on top of the tray. Get that tray situated a little bit better. Okay, we got it centered. And now I have a few more of those racks I should put in there. So now I'm going to start transferring the bees from the temporary box into the permanent hive, tray by tray. Carefully move it in its place. Still haven't gotten stung. Doing good so far. The next one. And the queen is on there somewhere. I don't want to take the time to find her yet. I just want to get things moved into place and hope she doesn't drop off. I'm not that good with identifying the queen yet either, so it would take me a little bit of time to figure out who's who. So I do just want to get these guys transferred is my main goal right now. And I think this is the last tray. No, there's one more. There we go. Okay, now I'll dump the rest of everybody into there in case the queen dropped to the floor. I don't think she did. They'd all follow her. Try to cover it until I can get all the other components into place. couple more trays to put in. Maybe just one. We'll see. Looks like there's more room for... Yeah, we can fit another tray, I think. Or two. Okay. All right. Give it a little tap. Everybody out. All right. Good. Now, let's get the top on. And the cover. And this is an old hive, so I did make sure to clean all the cobwebs out and hose it down real good. Make it nice and clean for them, for the new hive, new colony. So I hope they have a nice happy home there. Now the other thing I think I need to do is bungee the top down so that the bears don't get in there. They'll probably get in there anyway if they wanted to, but you know, there's raccoons and things like that might want a taste of honey. So I guess, you know, I'll do what I can to keep anybody else out. Make sure these bees have a happy home. So the bees have been in place for about a month now, and I have a visitor here to see them. And this young man is 3 years old, and this is his first time seeing bees up close. I think it's very exciting, and I think he's gonna remember this for a long time. Sam, my grandson, is fascinated with the bees, and he's all suited up there so he doesn't accidentally get stung. No stings yet. Nobody's gotten stung yet. Bees are pretty docile. And now I'm faced with a dilemma where I have a cluster of bees up in the tree above my hives, and I have a feeling that they might be a split off from one of my colonies. So what I have here are 2 spare hives that I am going to use as honey traps to try to catch those bees, because I don't want to lose my bees up into the tree. It looks like this hive is pretty healthy. I don't think that colony is split. But this colony I'm not so sure about. So I'm going to try to retrieve those bees, capture them, and hopefully start a new colony. See, what happens is sometimes when the bees have an old queen, a new queen is born, and that's just the nature of things, and the old queen absconds with at least half of the colony, and they take off and they go find a new place to live, and they leave whoever's remaining with the new queen, And if the new queen and the old queen don't fight to the death, that is. Or the other issue is they could have absconded from their hive because their hive is being invaded by pests like sugar ants. So we have a sugar ant invasion here. And that could be another reason why the colony of ants left. I just don't know. So what I have is I have a honey trap that I hoisted up in one of the honey traps. I hoisted up into the tree as close as I could to that cluster of bees, and I'm hoping that they go into that honey trap. I don't have any honey in there, but that will be my next endeavor if I can't catch them this way. So they've been up there for a few days now, even with my honey trap, so it doesn't look like they want to. Actually, they're moving further away from it. So I think I need to bait it with some honeycombs full of honey. But first, what I need to do is I need to make sure that the remaining bees have a healthy colony, and so I have to clean it as best I can to get rid of those sugar ants. So I have a compressor here. I'm going to blow those ants away, literally. Just blow them away as best I can, get rid of them. Then what I have to do is I have to prevent them from accessing the beehive. See, I did the best I could with flashing, and I have the beehive elevated off the ground, but that wasn't enough, apparently. So what I have here is some vegetable oil, and I'm going to coat the legs of my stand with vegetable oil so that the ants will not want to crawl up it. So I'm going to give it a good coat of oil, and probably have to do this each time it rains, after each time it rains, and give it a good coat on both sides, outside and inside corners as well. So then, at the bottom of these legs, I have little cups, and the little cups I have full of oil as well. Gotta be careful to keep debris out of those cups. So what we're doing here is we are breaking the path of access that these ants have back to their nest, because what they do is they invade the honey combs and take it back to their nest. So that's the best I could do with that. So the next step is to grab one of these honeycombs, if I could find one, from the colony. It looks like the sugar ants haven't gotten all the way down to the lower nest. So it's pretty healthy. Who's ever left here is pretty healthy. So what I did was I took one of those honeycombs from that nest, and I'm going to bait this honey trap with honey. That's a lot of honey in there. And I'm going to put it inside this box that I hoisted up. I brought it back down, obviously, so put that honeycomb in there to try to get those bees into the honey trap. What's happened is they actually have moved further away from the honey trap, the original honey trap. And, I started to panic, and I thought maybe I should bait it with something stronger than just the scent of old honey. See, twig got stuck in there. I just incorporated that right into their combs. Sometimes they push it out of their nest. All right, so I'm taking this honeycomb and I put it in the bait box in my honey trap. And I'm going to secure it and then hoist it back up into the tree, close to the cluster of bees. So now it's hoisted back up there, and the bees are actually further away than they were before. Let's see what happens. It's supposed to rain in a little bit, so I'll give them some time. I left the other honey trap down on this table here, right below it, because the honey's going to drip down onto this table and the bees are going to try to collect it. So hopefully I can catch that cluster as they collect the honey there. Yeah, we're about 40 feet up in the air. That cluster is about 40 feet up in the air at least. But sometimes, no matter what you do, things just don't go your way. So after I hoisted the other honey trap up there full of honey, bees decided to swarm. And it's just about to rain. Actually, it's just started to drizzle. So they're going to get a dodge real quick. Either that or they're going to go into my honey trap, but it doesn't look like what they're planning to do. Looks like they're getting further away. Yeah, so let's see. Let's try to track this swarm in real time. Yeah, they're getting further away. Who could spot the queen? I have to slow this down to do that. Anyway, looks like the swarm is swarming away. So I'm going to lower my honey trap and take the honeycomb out, because I don't want to just leave it up there because the other bees can probably use it. So let's get that down and empty it. Okay, I hoisted the empty one back up there. And here is what is left of my hives. Got it tied off there. Here's what's left of the hives. So there still seems to be a lot of activity in that one. And that one, can't tell if that one's split or not. It looks like it did. That's the one that's split. So we'll have to hope for the best on that. I'm gonna put this honeycomb back in the hive, and looks like there's some brood hatching too. Okay, so now the honeycomb is back in the hive, and I also put a feeder there with sugar water to supplement their food. And the hive looks pretty active. So hopefully they'll survive. And looks like the other hive is pretty active too. They look healthy. So all we can do now is hope for the best and take care of the bees. So I hope you enjoyed my bee story. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.